she shit her pants. She shit her pants at breakfast sitting next to me, like right next to me. I heard it first, um, and then I smelled it. And to be honest, she didn't seem like she heard it or smelled it or even feel it for that matter. She just kept eating her breakfast. She was acting like nothing happened, but something did happen. She shit her pants while eating breakfast and sitting next to me, right next to me. Hi, this is Rev. Do you got a minute? Every Sunday, we publish a story, whether it's by me or one of my friends, and it's about our stumbling attempts to follow Jesus in today's world. So for the last 39 years, I've been trying to do just that, to follow Jesus. And yeah, I don't always do a great job of it. But in those 39 years, I've been a youth pastor, I've been a church consultant, I've been a church planter, which is Christianese for I started churches from scratch. I was a coach of young leaders. I was a pastor, a preacher, a teacher, and I'm telling stories about what we got up to during that time. Look, if you can, will you just hit that subscribe button, press like if you like it, comment, argue with me in the comments. I don't care. If you just take part in any way in what I'm doing, it helps me and it helps to get the word out. Share this story if you have some friends that might not necessarily enjoy it, but get something out of it. How about that? Please share this. I'd really appreciate it. I believe that these things are important and I want people to hear them. So if you can, please help me out. This all started in Long Beach. My wife and I started a church in Long Beach, a house church. It was cool. We would eat dinner together. We would sit around and talk about stories of Jesus and discuss what that would look like if we tried to follow that in today's world, in today's modern, postmodern world. And there was just a great bunch of people that were there. There was a few like super conservative Christian evangelicals, and there were two atheists that came every single week. They called it Pizza and Anarchy, and we would talk together, and there was a bunch of people that were in between those two extremes, and it was just a lot of fun getting together and talking and eating and being a part of things. And we did a lot of really good things in our neighborhood. We fed people, we got people clothes, we bought people hotel rooms for the night. We did our best to be a part of our community in real meaningful ways. Probably the best thing that we did, the most consistent definitely, is for 5.5 years, we went down to the park that was just down the street from us, and we would have breakfast with the homeless people that slept in the park. Now, we were a poor church. My wife and I didn't have a lot of money. And so what we would do is we would just go to Del Taco and buy a bunch of bags of hash browns. And we got the local coffee shop that my wife worked at donated coffee. So we'd have a big thing of coffee, a big thermos. And we would just get together and we'd feed whoever showed up. And we'd just sit and eat with them and talk and just try to be there. And it was a beautiful time. It was something that we did that was really important to us. And we were really faithful. There was a guy named Dave who, Dave was an alcoholic. Some people would call him a raging alcoholic. He was sure dedicated, that's for sure. He tried to do it better than anyone was ever an alcoholic before, it seemed. And he would come. He would come every Sunday, but he didn't always eat. You know, sometimes he wouldn't eat. Sometimes he wouldn't have any coffee. We'd try to get him to eat something, and he'd say, why would I want to put water on a fire I'm trying to start? Which I thought was pretty funny, at least the first 10 times he said it. But after a while, it lost its charm. But he was funny. He was quick-witted. Even when he was drunk, he was just smart, you know, and he was just a character. And I remember one Sunday, he was talking about how he really needed a bike. And he had a bunch of logical reasons why he needed a bike. And I had a bike. It was the only bike I had, but I had a bike. He needed a bike. And so I said, Dave, I got a bike. You can have my bike. Well, immediately everyone was yelling at me and that it was a stupid idea and he was going to hurt himself. And, you know, even my wife didn't agree with me giving him my bike, but I had told him I was going to give him my bike already. And so I felt like my integrity demanded that I give him my bike. And so I did. I went home after breakfast. I got my bike and I wrote it down. And but I'm starting to think that maybe that wasn't the best idea. Maybe it wasn't a good idea for Dave to have a bike. And so when I got there, I just said, you know, hey, Dave, here's the bike, but you've got to show me that you can ride it. If you can ride it, then I'll give it to you. But if you can't ride it, then I'm not going to let you have it. And, you know, I was hoping that was my out, right? He wasn't going to be able to ride the bike and I could take it back. And then I just was starting to worry. But he got on the bike and he just started pedaling around. And I mean, believe it or not, he was already drunk. He was always drunk, but it seemed like his bike swerved less than he did when he was walking, you know? So I gave him my bike. The funny thing is my integrity. When I told him I was going to do something, I had to do it. It was my integrity demanded that I do that. But for some reason, when I say that I'm going to wash the car or I'm going to do the dishes, my integrity doesn't demand that I do those things quite in the same way. And yeah, that can be a little bit of a problem. My wife doesn't exactly appreciate that, but you know, we all have our little hypocrisies. Sadly, Dave drank himself to death. And yeah, it was hard, man. He had become a part of our life, and he died. And we weren't successful, but we were faithful. We were there. And I do know this, that before he passed, he knew he was loved. And he saw Jesus with skin on it. And I think that's a good thing. And I don't regret. Sometimes we have a great story and sometimes we have not so great of a story. But us being faithful has nothing to do with us being successful. So I guess back to the main story. Yeah, people are wondering, so what happened? Shirley had been with us from the beginning. She had always been there, and you know, she was never what you would call mentally stable, right? She would really have erratic behavior. Sometimes she would be fairly normal, and other times she would be really struggling. And because she was so erratic, we didn't really notice that she was going downhill, because she would always go downhill and then she'd come back up a short time later, and that was just the thing. But this time was different. She didn't come back up. She kept getting worse. She was getting more aggressive. She was getting violent. I had to stop her from physically assaulting some of the people from our breakfast group. She seemed to just forget all about even the most basic levels of hygiene. She usually smelled of BO and urine. Yeah, it was hard watching her go down and not coming back up. We tried to get her help. We tried to get her to go see somebody. We tried to get, her to take her medication, which we assumed she was on. But nothing worked. She just wasn't interested. And so we just loved her. That's all we could do. This particular morning, she was really dirty, and she obviously had peed her pants. And it was, it was a morning when she was all riled up and angry, and so I took her aside, and I said, Shirley, you need to calm down a little bit. Just come and eat with us, and try not to argue with people, and just enjoy the morning with us. But Shirley, being Shirley, she yelled, well, you tell those fuckers not to pick on me. I said, Shirley, I won't let anybody bother you. Just come and eat with us. And so she marched over to the picnic bench, and she sat down, and she stuck her filthy hand in the bag and pulled out a burrito and started to eat it. And I sat next to her, like right next to her, close to her, because I wanted to make sure that I could run interference. I didn't want this to turn into a big drama, but like often happened on Sunday mornings, and not just because of her. It was a drama-filled morning usually. And so in this case, I wanted to be there to keep problems. My job that morning was to keep Shirley calm. That was my job, and I was going to do my job, And so as we're sitting there, I grabbed my burrito out of the bag, and I started eating my egg burrito. And I would say I was about halfway done when all of a sudden I hear this wet, gurgling fart. Maybe it was a shart, right? Maybe it was an accident. Maybe she didn't mean to do it, and it came out kind of wet and messy, and she was gonna get up and go to the bathroom, but she just kept going, and you just heard it. It was obvious that she's actually shitting her pants right next to me. She kept eating. She just kept eating while she's shitting her pants. And, after a short period of time of listening to this, all of a sudden, this stench wafted up and assaulted my nostrils. And I was freaking out, Inside, I'm going, what the hell are you doing? Why are you doing this at the table? This is breakfast, and you're shitting your pants right next to me. And I looked over at her, and, of course I wasn't going to say that, but I was disgusted. I wanted to show her love anyways. And so I thought she'd look at me, and I'd look at her, and I'd say, hey, can we help you? But as I looked over at her, she's just still eating her burrito. And, for some reason, I stopped eating mine. I just lost my appetite for whatever reason that was. And she finished her burrito. She ate a bunch of hash browns, and she got up and started to walk away. And as she was walking away, you could just see the destruction that had happened in her pants. So I grabbed one of the gals that was part of our group, and I said, hey, can you just walk her to the bathroom? There's public bathrooms in the park. Can you just walk her to the bathroom and make sure she can get cleaned up and see if she needs anything? And they did, because the people were just so beautiful. And so she helped her to the bathroom, and she made sure that, she got taken care of. Yeah, it was a crazy morning. It was only about 2 weeks later that she shows up on a Sunday morning. She pulls a steak knife out of her plastic garbage bag had clothes and whatever in it. She pulls this knife out and she's waving it around and cussing at everybody and threatening people. And so I get myself in between her and everybody else because, I'm a very skilled martial artist, and I knew that I could protect myself and I could protect the other people without causing any hurt or harm to her. And that's really important to me. I didn't want her to get hurt. But eventually she just put the knife back in her bag and she started walking away. And I called the cops. I had to call the cops. She was completely gone. She's waving a knife around. She's going to hurt somebody, or more than likely, she's going to wave that knife around and she's going to wind up getting really hurt herself. She needed help. So I called the cops and I negotiated with them and I negotiated with her and I got her to give me the knife and told her that, look, go with these officers. They're gonna help you, and I'll make sure that nobody hurts you. She was concerned, The cops hadn't always been very nice to her. And so I told her, look, I won't let them hurt you, but you need to go and they're gonna get you some help. And she didn't have a choice this time. She had to go. She was gone for about 6 weeks. And when she came back, she was in a much better place. She wasn't so aggressive. She was a lot friendlier. She was just in a much better mental space. But the fact is that nobody would ever be able to tell how long she would be okay for, because she's always kind of rolled into a difficult place. We did what we could, and we loved somebody, and we loved all of those people that were there with us. We came every Sunday and we spent time. See, we believed that actually sitting at the same table and eating with the people that you were serving did something. We believed that was closer to our understanding of who Jesus was. And I'm not trying to badmouth anybody at all. I'm very thankful for the people that do this, and it's needed. But at a soup kitchen where you stay on the other side of the counter, where you reach over and plop the food into the metal tray, that doesn't unite people. It's not relational. It's necessary, but there was something different about the way that we had relationship with these people. I remember Dave, before he passed, he said, look, there's plenty of places that we can get food, John. We don't come for the food. We come for the conversation and the love. And man, that's just everything to us. That's what we believe in. There's a lot more stories that the adventures on any Sunday. Thank you for listening to. I appreciate that. If you stuck around, I know it's kind of a long story. If you can, please, again, subscribe, like, share, do everything that you can to help me. And if you're feeling really generous, I'll have the link to my Patreon account in the description of this. So, if you wanted to help financially help me to keep doing this, I would really appreciate that. Thank you so much for being a part of what we do, helping me to love people in the way that I can. Please just remember, you can make a difference in your neighborhood. You can love people the way that we love Jesus. The only way we can do that is in people. The only way we can do that is recognizing that in that image of God that is in that person, that mirror that reflects God himself, it might be cracked, it might be scarred, it might be dirty. It's probably broken. All of us are. But if you look hard enough, if you look past all of the brokenness, you will see Jesus staring out of those broken mirrors. And I think that's something. Please take part in this crazy adventure with me. Love people. Rev loves you.